Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at a brand new Pokemon in the world of Pokemon Go, Tapu Fini. Tapu Fini is a water and fairy type Pokemon with the moveset of Water Gun, Surf, and Moonblast, and is only encounterable in Tier 5 raids. Now, Tapu Fini looks to be pretty promising for the Ultra League, and since Ultra League isn't currently available, I did practice battles with members of my Discord so we can test it out and see how it performs. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches and check out Tapu Fini in action in the Ultra League. Picking up a great lead in the first match, Tapu Fini into Scrafty. Opponent will immediately save switch into Mew, and I respond with Shiny Berserker. Berserker does have a pretty nice matchup here. I will probably have to commit a shield to maintain alignment, just because a second Wild Charge or a Focus Blast would be enough to KO. If they farm up a bunch, I respect the Focus Blast, but it only ends up being the double Wild Charge. Berserker does tank the second Wild Charge, and I do leave with very close to a close combat loaded. Back in comes the Scrafty, but they're not able to farm down before we reach a close combat. This will do massive damage if it lands, and Scrafty commits the shield. I have switched, so I'm going to immediately bring in Tapu Fini. Scrafty farming up a bunch of energy, and it's armored Mewtwo in the back, and I'm going to be going for the Moonblast. This should do quite a bit of damage if it lands, which it does, and now we go for the Side Strike catch, but my opponent is able to hold on to their energy, and my Registeel is going to get hit with a Dynamic Punch. That will do quite a bit of damage. Armored Mewtwo farming up, but Registeel incredibly spammy, able to reach a Zap Cannon. Zap Cannon takes down the Armored Mewtwo, and my opponent is putting all their faith into their Scrafty. This Scrafty has a ton of energy. They are going for the Power Up Punch, and they're going for Power Up Punch number 2. Their counters are now doing 50% more damage, trying to farm down. Can I reach a Focus Blast? Yes, I can! On 1 HP, we're able to reach a last second Focus Blast, and that grabs a shield from Scrafty, and now back in comes Tapu Fini. We tank whatever they throw here. They go for the Power Up Punch. That is totally fine. Tapu Fini able to reach the Moonblast. Moonblast, double super effective, going to be more than enough to take down the Scrafty, and that is a good game. Picking up a Nightmare lead in the next match, Tapu Fini into Roserade. I will immediately save switch into Berserker, but Roserade does have access to Fire-type Weather Ball, which is going to hit for quite a lot of damage, and then they're going to bring in Luxray. My guess is that there's probably a third Tapu Fini counter in the back, so my opponent definitely not making it easy on me, and I'm going to have to try and earn this win. I'm going to let it through in case it's a Psychic Fangs, but it is a Wild Charge, and now, since they've lowered their defense, can I farm down? Yes, I can! So we are able to get a nice energy lead on Tapu Fini. Back in comes Roserade. My switch clock is not up yet, so I will go for the Surf. Surf will get some solid chip damage, and now I bring in Registeel. Registeel is going to be able to easily tank the Fire-type Weather Ball here. They go for it, it lands, and it's Shadow Electivire in the back. I'm expecting a shield, so I will actually go for the more expensive Zap Cannon bait, and we get the shield. Why this matters is because I do get that guaranteed attack drop, which means that I should be able to tank a Wild Charge. They go for the Wild Charge, and I am able to survive it. Going for the Focus Blast, but unfortunately my opponent does CMP tie me there. I will have to commit the final shield and then fire back with a Focus Blast. Focus Blast, able to connect, and back in comes Roserade. Roserade going for a farm down, not able to get there, and Registeel will be able to grab the final shield. The question is, can Tapu Fini reach a move? This is going to be close. Roserade has a lot of energy. I'm going to call the bait, and it is the Weather Ball. We tank that. Can we reach a move? Yes, we can, but they throw another Weather Ball. We do have a shield remaining. We commit the shield, and we're going to be able to get to the Surf. So despite triple Tapu Fini counters, able to clutch up, and that is a good game. Hopping into the next match, switching Tapu Fini into Cresselia. Most Cresselias are running Grass Knot nowadays, which does make that a negative lead, so I am going to save switch into Berserker. My opponent is going to bank a move on Cresselia and then bring in Shadow Snorlax. A close combat does not one-shot here, so I will go for the foul play to ensure that this close combat will KO if it lands, but my opponent does commit the shield. Berserker farming up, and we're able to reach a second close combat. My opponent overfarms a bit too much, and I'm able to get both shields. At this point, honestly, I'm okay with just taking shield advantage. Berserker has done its job. We have been able to get both shields, and now I can bring in Tapu Fini. Tapu Fini does have a decent amount of bulk, so we can very easily tank the lick damage as well as the Shadow Body Slam, no problem. And then my opponent is going to pivot into a Shadow Wall Rain. I'm going to farm up and throw just before they reach the Earthquake. Moonblast, we're going to see how much this does. Pretty nice damage onto the Shadow Wall Rain. Wall Rain farming up a ton. And Icicle Spear does not KO here. I'm going to call the bait. It is just the Icicle Spear, and I'm able to reach a Surf. I don't think Surf will quite KO either because it is resisted, and Wall Rain is going to go for the last second Icicle Spear. From here, though, I have a 2-shielded Registeel, and Registeel with 2 shields can put in a lot of work. This is just an Icicle Spear, so I am not going to shield it. And then we're going to be able to lock on farm down. So we have 2 shields, we have a Registeel, we know about the Snorlax, and we know about the Cresselia. Back in comes the Shadow Snorlax. This is a tough call to make. I shield last second, and it's the superpower. I'm expecting a catch. There is an attempted catch, and in comes Cresselia. From here, things are looking pretty okay for me. I go for the Zap Cannon, and of course, with no shields remaining, we are going to be able to land it. They go for the Moonblast. I should be able to go for a second Zap Cannon, and then I'm going to go for a lock-on farm down to try and leave with a move. We tank whatever they throw here, not worried whatsoever, but the Moonblast does lower my attack, and this is slightly worrying, as this puts the Cresselia in a very awkward range, where I'm not quite sure that I'm going to be able to lock on farm down here. The lock-ons do 1 damage regardless, but the reduced damage on Zap Cannon there is a little unfortunate. I'm just going to continue to farm, desperately trying to farm down the Cresselia, but it is a very tall task. Moonblast lands, the timer comes up, and here I panic and make a mistake. I go for the Focus Blast to take them out, but I'm behind on health, and in comes the Snorlax. And at this point, this game is over, and I lose a heartbreaking game on timeout. Hopping to the next match, leading Tapu Fini into Trevenant. Trevenant is a big core breaker to the Tapu Fini Registeel core, so honestly, I kind of need to stay in here. The nice thing, as I mentioned earlier, Tapu Fini has some pretty decent bulk, so we do tank a Seed Bomb. I'll be honest, Seed Bomb from Trevenant does hurt quite a bit. Trevenant does have a very nice attack stat, but we are going to be able to fire back with the Moonblast, get the shield, and then bring in Berserker. This could be a Shadow Ball, so I will respect it, and it does end up being a Shadow Ball. We're farming up, and then my opponent brings in Lucario. The Discord members bring in the Spice, and this is bad news for me. I do tank a Power-Up Punch. I'm going to farm up 1 more and pretend like I'm at the back-to-back, so hopefully they will let it through. I'm actually 1 short, but they do let it through. Back in comes Trevenant, and I'm able to reach a foul play. That is massive. Berserker putting in so much work, taking out the Trevenant, and it's their own Registeel in the back. I am at an energy disadvantage in the mirror, which is unfortunate, but I still do have Tapu Fini available as a potential sack swap. Focus Blast, able to connect, but it takes 2 Focus Blasts to KO a Registeel, so I'm fine with letting the first one through. And my opponent is going to decide to let the first one through as well. Still farming up quite a bit, and here I do have to commit the shield. My goal is to hopefully catch their final move on Tapu Fini, and this is actually an old pre-Zap Cannon Registeel, and I get baited with a Flash Cannon. This is going to be close. Farming up, going for the catch, but I'm not able to get it. I mistime it, and I'm going to be taken out by a Focus Blast. Now it's all up to Tapu Fini. Can Tapu Fini reach a move? This will be close. Yes, it can! Tapu Fini able to reach the last second Surf, taking down the Registeel, and that is a good game. Picking up a rough lead in the next match, Tapu Fini into another Trevenant. This time I decide to save switch into Registeel, and I'm able to bait out an Obstagoon. Honestly, this is probably the best case scenario, because Registeel doesn't really have to shield in this matchup, whereas the threat of a Focus Blast can probably grab me shield advantage. Obstagoon is going to have to shield, and I am not shielding a thing here. Even if Obstagoon wants to double shield, that's fine. I will take shield advantage for Tapu Fini and Berserker in the endgame. Registeel is able to reach a final Focus Blast, and they have a tough call to make, and they let it through, and down goes Obstagoon. Trevenant is going to get a massive farm, but we now have switch advantage, which is very important. I'm going to bring in Berserker, and Berserker really does not take Shadow Balls well, so I will commit the shield, and it is the Shadow Ball that's huge. Opponent goes for the catch, and they have a Scavalier in the back. I'm going to bank 2 foul plays for later, and then bring in Tapu Fini. Tapu Fini does pretty well against Escav. We are resisting the counters, and the water guns do add up quite significantly. There, I meant to throw just before they reach the drill run, but I accidentally farmed up too much, and I end up losing CMP. Definitely not ideal by any means. Surf does get them quite low. I'm able to take them out. Back in comes Trevenant. Trevenant going for the farm down, but they're not able to get it. Tapu Fini reaches a final Surf. This will not KO, but we have 2 moves loaded on our Berserker. Back in comes Berserker, and we're going for the first foul play. It connects. Opponent realizes that I had 2, and that is a good game. Picking up a great lead in the next match, Tapu Fini into Shadow Gliscor. Opponent save switches into Registeel, and I make a huge mistake. I should have brought in my own Registeel here, but I bring in Berserker. Berserker does not have a great matchup against Registeel, as it gets absolutely destroyed in the 2-shield. I have to shield everything here, whereas they can very safely no-shield the first move, and then start shielding the second once I start throwing close combats. I will go for the close combat. Close combat does get the shield, and they're firing back with Focus Blast number 2. I will commit the shield. At this point, my only hope is to stall the switch clock out long enough that if they play out the 2-shield, I can catch a Focus Blast back onto Tapu Fini. Going for the close combat, but my opponent lets it through and gives me switch. That is massive. I am going to be going for the foul play going up against this Shadow Gliscor. Foul play does some nice damage. Shadow Gliscor farming up a bunch, and they're going to go for the Night Slash before I'm able to reach foul play number 2. Night Slash will KO. Back in comes Tapu Fini, and it's a Drapion in the back. I'm going to farm up, switch, and catch what should be a Sludge Bomb onto Registeel. It is. Let's go. My opponent, bravo to them. That Shadow Gliscor is incredibly spicy, but I am going to do my part to still try and get this win anyways. They go for the crunch on the Registeel, and I'm going to fire back with the Focus Blast. Focus Blast does not KO here, but it is going to get that Drapion quite low. This is still not really farm down range, which makes things a little uncomfortable. Drapion spamming out crunch after crunch. My switch timer is coming up soon. They bank energy, and they bring in Shadow Gliscor. I decide to go for the Zap Cannon. I'm expecting the shield, and that will lower their attack. Back in comes Tapu Fini, and I'm going for the Surf. Surf is going to take out Gliscor. Back in comes Drapion. Drapion gets farmed down, and that is a good game. Hopping to the final match, and the spice continues. Tapu Fini into Ursaring. This is a Shadow Claw Ursaring, charging pretty quickly. I believe this isn't enough for a Hyper Beam, so I should be okay to no shield. But they're running Return. That does massive damage, almost one-shotting Tapu Fini. I fire back with the Surf. I get the shield, and a simultaneous save switch. Berserker into XL Shadow Cacturn. My opponent winning all of the Spice Awards in this match. Close combat, takes down the Cacturn, but my danger is not over yet, as there's a Typhlosion in the back, and this Typhlosion is getting a massive energy lead. I go for the close combat. It's not enough for the Incinerate to KO me, and they leave with 80 energy. They are 1 Incinerate away from the back-to-back. I bring in Registeel. I'm going to try and catch on 100, but my switch clock was not up quite yet. They go for the Blast Burn. I will commit the shield, and they go for a second one back-to-back. I will commit both shields, but I should be able to outpace Typhlosion here. I just need to be able to get to a move. They go for the catch onto Ursaring. I did overfarm slightly there, and I'm going to try and undercharge the Focus Blast, but it's still enough to KO. Back in comes Typhlosion, goes for the catch, and I fail the catch. This is not good at all. The question is, can Registeel tank a Blast Burn? Blast Burn, massive damage. We hold on, and we're able to reach a Focus Blast. Registeel on 1 HP, taking down the Typhlosion, and that is a good game. And now some final thoughts on Tapu Fini. First off, I think the bulk is pretty nice. Even with my pretty mediocre raid IVs, my Tapu Fini was still able to take a hit. It's not as bulky as something like a Giratina or a Cresselia, but bulk is definitely not an issue with the Pokemon. Its typing is pretty decent as well, being able to fight off a lot of the dark types that are really common in the Ultra League, and having some nice coverage against Talonflame, I think does give it a unique role. One big downside, of course, is going to be Trevenant. It is going to struggle quite a bit against Trevenant, and the Cresselia matchup, if Cresselia does have access to Grass Knot, can definitely be an issue as well. But overall, I do think it is a pretty solid new addition to the Ultra League. Definitely a Pokemon that you can pick up and have some pretty decent success with. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you, as always, to our members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is absolutely incredible. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.